Nothing like technical difficulties.
Mine says it's streaming live.
Yeah, because they just hit it.
Oh, perfect.
All right. I think we're back in business, my friend.
All right.
Okay, hold on. Click to expand.
Oh, mine says it's streaming live.
Yeah, we are now.
Okay.
Yeah, because they just hit it. Hold on.
Oh, perfect.
There we go. So I had to turn us, we have to mute Facebook because it's on a time delay and it'll just keep looping.
Ah,
We'll hear ourselves talking, which is like too bizarre.
right.
All right, well, let's try this one more time,
Hey.
Sarah. We'll see who we're talking to. Oh my God. Hi, I'm Marianne Goldweber, medium, clairvoyant, spiritual teacher. I'm the owner of a village personal and spiritual development. And my guest tonight on Marianne's House, which is my video podcast that I'm doing Wednesdays and Fridays, is my friend Sarah Halko.
Hi,
Hey, Sarah.
everybody. Hello.
So Sarah and I have a interesting history, and that's what I'm trying to do is bring really interesting people that I know onto this thing so that we can all have the kind of dialogue that Sarah and I would just have, just the two of us sitting on the couch
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
And so this isn't the first time Sarah and I have done this. There's a video on my website that Sarah and I did an interview when she was in her transition. She and a friend had started a video blog on YouTube called Locked Chronicles. And so, 4 years ago, Sarah invited me to be a guest on there talking about our story of entrepreneurship and how we got started
Mhm.
and that's always an interesting story when you're dealing with people who are self-employed, especially when they took a leap off of the corporate train.
Right.
And so fast forward 4 years later, and now I'm in a situation where I'm having a video blog and I have Sarah as my guest. So
I love
um
it.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
So Sarah currently is so Sarah's a storyteller. That's just part of who you've been all this time. You just keep telling these great
Always.
stories.
I just tell stories. I show up places and I tell a story. So,
Well, and you're such a poster child for, what we experience isn't just for us, that it's really a tool for other people.
it is.
And that's what we're going to talk about tonight is the journey from, where we started to where we're at, where we met. And then, yeah, it's just so much fun. And
Yes.
people love to watch us. Well, and I'm socially inappropriate. You know
Lovely.
that. So I don't really give a shit that I'm socially inappropriate. So, I behave myself on your video, but I will not behave myself on my own video.
I love it.
So yeah, so let me check in on Facebook and see if what's going on with those folks over there.
Okay.
Hang on a second. I'm so not good at this. I really am good at this, but it's just so much. So, oh yeah, we have a lot of folks over visiting with us tonight. We got
Great.
Ralph. I don't know what happened before. Lynn, Kelly, all kinds of fun folks watching us tonight. So,
Great.
yeah, get your beverage, people, and kick back and relax. And Sarah and I are going to have a conversation. I may even pull you guys in on, I may answer questions. So if you guys have any questions that come up while we're talking tonight, you might even want to just take notes too, because there's going to be some really good information that we just, share as we share our awarenesses in this crazy journey called life.
Mhm.
And yeah, so if you have any questions, just send me a text either to my phone, which is 216-324-2657, or you can just send me a private message or even put your question right on the feed and I'll be happy to read it and answer it. See, Sarah can't see the Facebook part of it. She can only see me. So I'm the one doing the weird magic back behind the scenes. So anyway, let's start at the beginning. So
Yeah.
well, hold on. Let me show you. So let me show the video real quick. Let me see if I can do this. This is going to be fun if I
Sure.
can. So I'm going to screen share and see what happens. It says I can do that.
Yeah.
Screen share? Yeah, let's try it. Host only. All panelists. All panelists. Okay. No, really. I'm so fucking blind. Okay. No, really. It's not funny. I really, it's really sad. Okay, I'm going to screen share. Let's do that. Okay, I want to share. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think I got this. Hold on. Sarah, I'm so sorry. This is so funny. Okay, here we go. Okay, share. Now let's see. Can you see that?
Yeah, you did it. Uh-huh.
All right, well, let's see if Facebook can see it.
Hi everyone, thank you.
Oh, there it is.
Today we are here with Marianne Goldweber. She's the owner
Look
of
at that.
is a medium, clairvoyant, life coach, spiritual advisor, the whole package. I am so excited you're here because you're one of my favorite people to talk to. We were talking earlier. I called her. I emailed her when I was in Greece. I found her name on this Facebook page I belong to, and I was just like, "Oh, that's my job." So you were such a wonderful help. So thank you.
I'm like, yay! Best day ever.
Okay, I'm gonna hold off on that. Okay, so let's go back and get out of here. How do I get back?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how we started our
That was it.
thing. And hold on, I gotta see if I can. How do I get you back? Um, stop share. There we go.
There we
Yeah,
are.
so that was our beginning. Oh my
That
God.
was.
Look at you now.
I
So anyway,
know.
so Sarah, so why don't you start at the beginning like you did in the video? So how do we meet?
Yeah, we met. I contacted you. I got your name through a women's group that I was a part of. I had lost my job. I mean, really, my entire world, like everything came down. And the reason why I even contacted you in the first place to film that video is because I was in a big transition. And while I was unemployed, I was like, I might as well teach myself a new skill. So I thought I would like get in front of a camera and do videos. I was like, this seems like a useful skill that maybe I'll need in the future. And I wanted to learn about it. So my friend Alex and he did the filming and I did the interviewing. But more importantly, I wanted to talk to people who had changed careers, who had transitioned from something they were doing and then went in a completely different direction. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know who to ask. And then, I thought of you and from conversations we had before, and I was like, oh, I have to interview Marianne because I needed to figure out my next move. I was clueless. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have a job identity. I didn't have a title. I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't a nurse. I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. I used to be a teacher, didn't want to be a teacher anymore. So now I was in a corporate job. I lost that job. Now what do I do? I'm not a thing. I'm like, just I exist. I'm just my name. So what does Sarah do for a job? And how do people transition from an ending to a new beginning?
Well, and that's what I do is endings, endings and beginnings. And I usually meet people in the crux of their absolute worst ending, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's the death of a person or the death of a situation,
Right.
like a job loss or a divorce or any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of grief that goes through that helps them, really see this as lessons and examples and teachings that are really being offered to us. But it's so easy to feel victimized in that moment. um that our identities are tied to those things. And that's so when you called me that day and you said you'd lost your job, I'm like, yeah,
You
go
were
me
so
too.
excited. And I learned now too. I've lost a couple more jobs after that, and I go buy champagne and celebrate. It's a new beginning, honestly.
Well, right. And everywhere. And I think the bigger thing is learning that everything is temporary.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, that nothing is forever.
Right.
And I don't think that we're really, well, again, and this is the stuff that we're, especially with this pandemic stuff, we're all really reevaluating what we've been taught, the
Yes.
conditioning that, and I talk about, if I use the word conditioning, I use it 1,000 times a day. But we've all been
True.
conditioned. So for you and I, we've been conditioned as women. We've been
Yep.
conditioned by culture, religion, society. We've been taught some, inaccurate information by, the women before us who had less
Absolutely.
rights and had less opportunities.
Right.
And like that's what you and I talked about, that shared experience of losing my job was not my choice.
Right.
Okay, just like your
Mhm.
situation, it was not your choice to leave your job that day.
No.
And I've quit jobs. I mean, I've never been unemployed. I have never ever been unemployed in my whole life.
Oh, really?
Okay?
You should try
Yeah.
it. I've done it 3 times.
Well, I've been well, so I left a career, but I instantly became self-employed. So I literally went,
Oh, yeah.
and recreated, reinvented myself.
Hmm.
Not necessarily because, oh, now I can be self-employed. I did it because, oh, fuck, I got to make money and I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to support myself and my kid doing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't in a wow, proactive, let's create a business. No, this was like, what can I use to make money? And, it was just a billion, I've had so many transitions, you know what I mean? That's why I'm so good at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, so what we shared in common at that moment was that we both had to leave our power place, which at that point was our work. It
Yes.
became our identity.
Hmm.
I was working, by the time I left the bank, I was actually working probably 60 hours a week at least.
Hmm.
And it was forced overtime as well, which, okay, it was forced, which is not necessarily healthy, which is probably
Hmm.
why I lost the use of my hands. But to be honest with you, it was also, there was an adrenaline rush with power, that kind of power.
Sure.
And so when I became physically unable to do the work anymore, and I was forced to have all those surgeries, it was like, you're not going back to that. You can't. And that's, and
Mm-mm.
that was the beginning of the, destruction of my ego.
Sure.
So that's when you called me that day. When you told
Mhm.
me that you'd lost your job, I'm like, yeah.
Oh man, you were excited. I was so embarrassed. I felt like a failure. And I was scared. It was the fear. You were just, I was just frozen by this fear of what do I do now? Like I had left teaching to go into this corporate job. I wanted to make a move to the business realm. And I was like, this is it. I'm jumping ship from the teacher train and I'm going, to work for corporate. I'm going to, have the corner office, the glass office, and I'm going to be that woman. Didn't turn out the way that I had planned. So, but, I look back now at all of my experiences and I am so happy they all happened the way that they did. You even said that to me when we were speaking on the couch that day. You said, you'll look back and you'll be grateful for this one day. And I really am. I'm not hanging on to any resentment. I'm not mad at anybody. I look at everybody that I work with, and even if there was tension or I didn't agree with what they were doing, really everybody was doing the best that they could do with what they knew how. For the most part, we were a really young company. And when you're talking about a young company, these people don't have experiences. They've been at the same job, for how many years? And, everybody age wise was pretty young too. So you're basically just acting out what you see in the movies at that point, or what society says you're supposed to do. It's not really coming from a place of experience and knowledge. So, at the end of the day, it was not the place for me. However, it was a structured business environment, and I got to take those tools and those experiences with me, which really served me for the next place that I went.
Right. So it's interesting that, like you worked for now I originally started working, um, my first, I'm going to use this very loosely, corporate job. Um, it was a family owned business. Okay. And so again, I learned a lot about family owned businesses. There's family and then there's everybody else.
Sure.
So, when I wanted to fire one of the brothers in the company, that wasn't going to happen, even though he was a
Right.
total load. you know? And so that wasn't really how corporate works. And then I went straight from that to, a major bank. And
Yeah.
it was a whole different hierarchy. It was a whole different, and it was old. Banks are really, 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 really,
Yes.
really, really old.
Mhm.
And they don't really give a shit about your good ideas and all the new ways you want to do things. And,
No,
no, they just want you to sit in your chair and do what you're supposed to
you're
do. And
told.
okay, well, I'm a free spirit and I do free spirit shit.
Hmm.
And, and although I had an ego the size of Texas, I was incredibly, good at what I did. And
Yeah.
I made sure everybody knew that. So,
Mhm.
with that came this, like, I've had this privilege that maybe, well, I could be late occasionally or,
Yep.
whatever. I was always in trouble for stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but again, there's this false sense of security when there comes with a corporate job, is that, and the difference between that and being an entrepreneur or being self-employed
Hmm.
is that you have to earn the gig every day. Every time you have a gig, you're earning it. You
Right.
have to put your best foot forward. You have to, hope they hire you again tomorrow or the next time.
Hmm.
And with a corporate job, you can start letting things slide and slip, and you're late a couple times, or you're not dressing up all the time. Do you remember when you worked in corporate when somebody should come in super dressed up,
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, "Oh, do you have an interview somewhere?" Like, "Oh, you got?" I go, "No, I just really want to get dressed up today." But yeah. So again, I think there's a false sense of security with corporate,
There
or with
is.
or with having a career, is that this is who I am, this is who I am, it's not who you are.
Oh, it
and
wasn't at all.
and
Mm-mm.
that can be over at any time, and that's what people don't understand, is that these your employer doesn't really owe you a job.
You're you're so replaceable, and that's what I try to tell people too. Because I can't tell you how many friends that I've talked to that have said, I'm in charge of, this dollar amount. My territory is so large. I have this position at the company. I can literally never get fired. They'll be lost without me. I said the same thing. I was managing one of the largest territories. Whatever they gave me, I handled. I took care of it. I mean, I did a lot. And I was like, I got to the point where I was like, I'm basically invincible. Like, there's nothing I can do. And then
Yeah.
one day they fire you, and you're like, oh shit. Turns out I am replaceable because they don't care. And there is always another person who's ready and willing to take on your workload and that can do it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that hard. It is not that anything that we're doing is not impossible. Somebody can easily walk into the corporate sphere and do the job that you're doing.
Well,
So
and again, because we're with work so much, and like I said, it becomes your identity,
it
that it
does.
also becomes kind of a weird family.
Yeah.
And we tend to put the family dynamic in with a situation that they are not family. These are still, I mean, even though I have friendships that I've had for many years because of my work.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's still, you're making money, you're going to do a job to use your talents to make a corporation a profit. That's what we're going there for.
That's it.
And I think, especially with women, it gets skewed
Mm-hmm.
because it does become that kind of identity that these people care about me, they love me, they need me, I need them.
Yep.
And that's really not what's going on in that environment. And we tend to lose sight of our identity because of those roles as women, especially. So
Right.
whether it's our career, whether it's our children, whether it's our partner, that I think that we give with this conditional expectation of it being returned,
Mm-hmm.
and then when it ends, or it was never that, and you are knocked out of that illusion, then you're laying there going, well, I don't know who I am. Your children are moving away, your partner dies or leaves you, or you leave them, or these things
Right.
aren't necessarily permanent, and when our identity is being tied to that, I think that's the worst day, is finding out that you lost a piece of who you were
Oh yeah.
in
Oh
pursuit of that. And that was, so what happened with me, which is how we ended up on that video,
yeah.
was that I lost a 20-year career. I had 4 hand surgeries because of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I was disabled from my career. I had a baby simultaneously. I opened a business within that first year.
Right.
and my marriage was a mess.
Yep.
I mean, I thought I was losing my mind. I
Hmm.
had no idea who I was.
No, that was mine was the same story. I mean, I had, and I think this was why, like, that you look at the family dynamic wherever I go, no matter what job I have, I always end up making like really good friends. So, like, I just get abnormally close with like no matter who it is that I work with. And I had gone through my divorce while I was at this corporate job. Now, I had just transitioned from teaching. I was a teacher, high school English teacher for 6 years. So now I transitioned to this corporate job. So I just dropped one identity. I picked up a new one. And it's like, I needed this because in that job transition time, I didn't even know how to take a look at myself really to explore who I was, what it is that I really wanted to do, what kind of skill set that I actually had. I just, boom, jumped into the next thing, got a divorce, became close with all of these people, and then it was gone and it was done. And then I really, like, I'm on the floor like a toddler, kicking and screaming and crying because my identity is gone now. So who am I? What do I want to do? Where do I go next? Who's going to hire me? Who is
Right?
going to
What do
hire
I
me?
know? I'm like, oh, I did this for like my whole life. Like, what do I know? So that's really the beauty of it is that we don't take the time to grieve. We don't take the time to really process, okay, what was that about? What did I learn? And how can I use that to manifest what I really want, what I really want,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
what I think I want at that time. But so that's where you are now
That,
is,
mhm.
in this process of really stopping. So I have to tell you, so when I was 42, I ended up getting divorced and I closed my business at the same time, my
Oh,
urban tea
wow.
store.
Yeah.
And I took an entire, now mind you, I was already had my awakening, okay, but I still wasn't totally with the program because I still like doing things my way, and
Yeah.
it was a shit show, girl, I'm telling you. So when I finally did just, really cry uncle and close the store, I took an entire year off of life, and
Okay.
I took and did something that I teach now, which I call the life resume. Is I sat down with my life with this higher spiritual awareness that I'm a soul that came here to create experiences. And
Hmm.
I went back to the beginning and I wrote down all my experiences in each of those 7 year cycles. And when I looked at it from this higher perspective, I saw that I was being groomed and led to what was next.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the challenge is we're so reactive when
Hmm.
those things end that we're not taking the time to stop and assess why is this happening, what could be
Exactly.
the diviner reason in this. And that's
Yeah.
where I came in at that time. So when you and I had that dialogue and you started the chronicles,
Yes.
and now here you are now facing another transition. Okay.
Yeah. Here I am
Okay, so
again.
what's the difference now between this one and that one? What's the difference?
The self-awareness that I have now that I've gained, where as I was going through this most recent experience, I just immediately kept telling myself, what is the lesson? What is the lesson? What are you supposed to learn? And it's like, I finally got it. I once again was not taking time. I was just boom, going to the next thing, rush, rush, rush. Again, like I need somebody else to give me my identity. I need the next job, the next title. And everything just crashed at the same time. I was dating someone, we broke up. I lost the most recent job that I was in, and then we got locked down.
So
And
the universe put us in this beautiful, awful, amazing timeout.
yes, and I look at it as this amazing time, honestly, because all of my distractions were ripped away because that's what I love to do, distract myself.
From yourself.
So from myself, oh yeah, I don't want to deal with this. So somebody else deal with it. I don't want to deal with me.
Well, but
So
again, history repeats, and that's
oh,
whether it's history in our world or our own personal history.
right,
And again, I found myself doing the same thing. So every time I transitioned, I noticed that I was doing it in a reactive way, not a proactive way. And
right.
that so when I left the bank, I immediately, out of my fear of lack or sustainability, I I put the pedal to the metal and I opened that herb store from from a bit from my craft. I mean, I had a building within a year. And so then when that started to come away, that's when I actually took that year off. But
Mhm.
I instantly went into, okay, next mode, I'm supposed to open a village. That's what they told me during my
Wow.
awakening. And I'm like, damn it, I'm opening a village. And
Yeah.
so I did. And again, what I did was in my, and I didn't realize it was fear at the time, but in my need to hurry or to hurry up and get this thing here,
Mhm.
I really wasn't necessarily taking the time to really discern timing, who I was who I was doing this with. I mean, really, it was just amazing. So
Right.
I can totally see that. So now we're in a totally different place where you're able to
Oh
stop.
yeah. I had to take one big pause, and I realize now, my friend had said it best. I have to introduce you to her. Her name's Jadia, but she called me and we were talking about where I'm at right now. And she said, I couldn't wait for you to get here. Because what I had finally realized is I keep trying to go back to these jobs and I keep trying to go to like these corporate places. And if I thought I was a bad corporate employee like 10 years ago, I'm literally the worst. Like, you do not want me in your office. I don't sit still. I'm probably not going to listen to what you're telling me to do because I think it's stupid. I think your methods and your way is ridiculous. So I'm not going to do it. Um, it's just the comfort. And I was, what I realized at the end of the day is the comfort and the stability that comes from me. It's not going to come from my next boss or, it's all got to come from me. So that is where I'm at right now. I told you I'm pretty proud of this moment. I just had an interview and it was for real estate development. That was another industry that I was in for a little while and I loved it. So I got an opportunity to jump back in. It was going to be, great pay. And I just couldn't. And it seemed like for the first time, I mean, don't get me wrong, I considered selling my soul again for this job. But I came home and I had realized now that my value system has changed. And what I place value on, money, I think, is just that illusory thing that we just, we want to, we see dollar signs and we just want to jump at it. But there is a price you pay. And I feel like what I need to do now is the thing I love, the thing I was called to do. I need to get there. Money always comes and goes. You just cannot depend on it. So I'm like, I just got to find the thing that I love and I want to do. And then the rest will fall into place. It really will. And having been unemployed now 3 times, the next thing always comes.
So when the universe presents us with this opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's got all the bells and whistles, all the glitter, all the stuff, and you're like, ooh, and you're like, well, that would be, you know,
Sounds
but
great.
there's such a filament of a string attached to that,
There is.
and I think that's the unraveling of some of the conditioning of really defining what we want. And so when I
Right.
sit down to define, who I want to be in a relationship with, whether it's a business relationship, it has to have those core foundation of integrity, communication, accountability. And we don't really interview for any of the relationships that we're in. So I'm actually teaching this class, which is called Defining Your Relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about the relationship with people, it's with, our work, we really don't take the time to really interview them. We're busy beefing ourselves up and interviewing us, that we're not really interviewing them. And so yes, it's a really great class because it has you really stopping, because when the universe is like, well, she wants to eat hot dogs, then we'll just keep sending them, you
Right.
know. And I mean, a hot dog even comes down with a steak suit on sometimes. You have to really look at it before you eat it. And again, so what is our need that compromises us to accept that not knowing what the string is? And so again, that's the beauty of discernment and the beauty of responding, not reacting. And yeah, so when we start, telling the universe what we're willing to and not stand for, they start sending us better opportunities. Okay, the
Absolutely.
first couple, however, are going to be a test to see if you have really learned the lesson.
Yeah, I swear this was one big test. I sat
So,
down and whoo, hoo, 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 hoo.
so one of my character defects is I want what I want when I want it.
Yeah,
And
same.
sometimes in my arrogance, I like to think that I can handle it, even if it isn't perfect or what I really want.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, I'm telling you, that is could not get further from the truth. You get in it and it will take you out. I mean, as much as you like to think you know this thing, yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So I've learned that one of my character defects is my wanting what I want in the moment I want it and not being able to really because that's a fear on some level that's based in fear. Or I'm afraid that it's going to go away. And I had to investigate where that so anything that says you've got to choose now, you have to hurry
Right.
up. Okay, is
Right.
absolutely that's got to be absolutely no.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so again, I had to really look at that character defect in myself and where that came from. Where did I learn that? And so I've realized that all of my transitions involve this hurry scurry, manifest the next thing right this very minute. And
Yes.
and part of that was my doing,
Mm-hmm.
my conditioning that I brought to the table. And yeah, that's a tough lesson to learn when you have to see what part did you play in this. It's not just blaming these situations. It's what is it about me that keeps creating the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And because see, I am an entrepreneur. I do have visions, and well, I actually have visions. I really do. And
Mhm.
sometimes the vision is so like, oh, that, you know, that I throw glitter on everything, and I'm only looking at the vision, getting it here, and I'm not looking at that I'm building it in the fucking hood, or I'm like, you know, right? Oh, I'll deal with that later. But the vision, it's coming. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And thank God for the village. Because, this is why, like you said, your friend, I have a core group of people, and I have to tell you, I have some very pragmatic people in my life that I'm very blessed to have. Like, I have all these Geminis and Capricorns and all these really solid stoic signs. My son's a Taurus. They're like rocks. And I'm
Yeah.
a Pisces. I'm like, me. So, I'm all about the fun. Are we going to have a good time? How much glitter's involved? Are there twinkle lights? And then
Yeah.
there's my friend, like Becca. Oh my God, I'll never forget. We went and looked at this property, and it was like this century home, and it had all these little cottages, but it was a dump. I mean, like this is a tear down, okay? But I wasn't really going there to buy it. I was just going there to get inspired.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, Beck, I mean, we could really, do this or that. And she's like, are you fucking crazy, Marianne? You don't have enough money or time to fix this. And I'm like, like she totally like pooped on my Wheaties. I was like, I just wanted to get creative and excited. But she's right, because I used to be that person where I'm like, oh my God, we will make this, the Taj Mahal,
Oh, yeah.
and so she's like, "Oh
Absolutely.
my God." So,
Right.
thank God for those people in my life, because they're not, I'm not really talking about I'm just trying to manifest stuff.
Right.
But they are always, and even if Becca isn't there, one of my, core group of people aren't there, I still think like them. And I say, okay, what would Becca say about this? Or what
Uh-huh.
would so and so say? How would they see this? So I go to their perspective even when they're not there, because I know my way is sometimes so filled with, glittering unicorns that I'm not being realistic.
Oh, yeah. I've done the same thing, and I need to. Well, and that's why this recent situation, this job interview that I did, when I went in, it got to the point where I think I told you I've never done this. I finally sat down with him. I mean, this was the strangest interview I've ever had. And I sat down and the guy was like, so what do you want to do? I was like, what? What? I'm here to interview for the position that you need. I was like, well, what you got? And he was like, well, what do you want to do? We just kind of went back and forth. And I was like, listen, I said, here's my pattern. Here's the problem. I always get involved with people on any level. And they don't know what they want. I don't know what I want. One person's waiting for the next one to tell them what to do. And I finally looked at the guy and I said, listen, I said, I'm not going to bullshit you. I said, I've never been in this position before where I don't need to take this. And I think he thought I was going to say that I've never been here before, like unemployed, like,
Right.
oh, give me this job that you're
I'll be
offering.
anything you want me to be.
Exactly. I think that's what he was waiting for. Because, so I told him, I said, if you're asking what I want to do, I said, I've already done all of this. I said, I heard that you needed a point person. I said, I am your point person. I said, that's what I'm coming here to do. I won't do any less. And he wanted me to basically start over. He said at, one point in a phone conversation, he was like, well, how do you feel about starting over and growing with a company? Absolutely not.
Right. So that's why
Absolutely.
when we know what we want,
Right,
we're telling the universe what we deserve.
right, right.
And again, when we can allay our fear, need, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
when we can discern that and be clear about, it doesn't have to have all the parameters, but when we tell the universe that we're not selling for less than that, because
Mm-hmm.
be by virtue, but I don't think we really know who we are or where we've been and really have assessed that. So again, when we do that, and then the universe is like, okay, she got the lessons out of all these things, and now
Right.
she's ready for the next thing
For them.
because you're going to honor it. You know,
Absolutely.
you've reached a certain level in your maturity,
Right.
whether it's spiritual maturity or emotional or otherwise, to
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm here, I am who I am, and my talents are going to be added to this thing, and you're going to pay me for that. Basically, that's it.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that if somebody's not clear about the parameters of the position, okay, then that's giving them wiggle room to sabotage you.
Oh, this, I have already been here. This
Right,
hasn't
that's that whole
lasted.
like, well, but I did, that's not really what I wanted. Well, okay, but you're never clear about what you wanted, so no, you're wrong if, no matter what, right? So yeah, no, that's like a no.
Oh, it was a big fat no. And yeah, I came back home and it was just kind of like, relief where again, it's taking that pause, which I've never done before. I've never really denied the things that I was just iffy on. I was just like, yeah, okay, might as well. When am I going to get the next opportunity? I don't know. It's a
So,
really like
so
a
is
lack
that
of.
so that thinking right there, was that fear or faith?
Oh, you mean when I was always grabbing at opportunities? Oh, that was fear. Absolutely fear that if I passed, that I wouldn't get the next opportunity or I wouldn't be okay.
So
I'd
what I'm
run out of.
taking out of this whole conversation is that when you take that pause,
Mhm.
when you take that pause, that's where the universe gets in there and starts to navigate things.
Oh yeah.
When you take that pause, you're not willing to react.
Right.
The universe provides some really amazing insight in that pause. So that pause is like a pause of meditation or a pause of grounding and getting yourself right with in alignment with the divine. And so when you take that pause, that's why even when I was in sales, and you've been in
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah. Hmm.
people have this 3-day cooling off period. Native Americans do not make any decision, unless they've prayed on it for 3 days.
Oh
So they
wow.
always say, I'm going to pray on it. And so when you take that 3-day window, that's where we have buyer's remorse. And that's
Right.
why they used to work in a 3-day cancellation policy in a contract,
Oh.
or they got rid of it altogether because people would change their mind.
Oh.
And so again, so when you're in the excitement of the energy or the moment, or you're caught in that fear place, that if you take that pause, that 3-day pause,
Yep.
nothing is going to blow up in 3 days.
No.
Okay. And
Mm-mm.
so whether you're buying a car or dating somebody or getting married or whatever, when you
Mhm.
take that 3-day pause to really just pray on it, is this really what's best for me? And, that's when the universe gets the opportunity to really talk to you and
Right.
really show you, show you the vision of what you need. So, yeah, that's cool stuff. Well, let's see who we got on Facebook now, Sarah. See if they have any
Okay.
questions or anything. And then I want to talk about kind of your blog and what you're talking about here.
Oh, yeah,
Hold on one sec. Let me get back to Facebook, my Facebook friends.
yeah.
Hold on one second. Okay, that wasn't a question about this anyway. Oh. All right, kids. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Do you have any questions? Go ahead and text that. So we're going to talk a little bit about just the spirituality of faith, Sarah. Like the how does faith work into, or how does this spiritual life, now that you've have more of an understanding of that, how does that play into what you're doing now for yourself?
You know, I think I have found through all of my experiences, when you lose something and you're in a major transition, whenever something ends, I really feel like I'm just in the dark. I'm scared and everything is just pitch black. But what I've realized and what I think is the coolest is that no matter what transition point that you're in or whatever is happening, really truly when you are in your darkest moment, you just get these people start appearing. And I just say it's like God sending angels and they have torches and they just start lighting the way. Once you get in alignment, though, with turning down those things that, don't serve your highest good. And, you try to do your best to honor what it is that you really want and stay on that path. But people just start appearing. And every single time when I've been in transition, people have just appeared and they've nudged me and they kept pushing me. And anything that I've done, any job that I've taken, it's been for a reason. So I don't believe in, mistakes or I shouldn't have taken that job. No, I needed to learn something. I really needed to learn something. And here in this moment now, the people around me are different. The experiences now are a little bit different. And I can make sense of everything that happened. It's kind of strange. I told a friend, when I sat down, I was doing contract work for a company and it was in March. We sat down and they said that they weren't going to bring me on full time or, renew the contract. It was like the week later that we were locked down. But the week before that, my boyfriend and I had broken up. Then it was a week later that I lost my job. And I thought it was funny because my employer at that time, they should have told me a week before. Contractually, they were supposed to tell me the week prior whether they were going to, renew my contract or keep me on. And they didn't. But it was kind of a blessing that they didn't, because if they said they weren't renewing anything, my boyfriend and I broke up that day. He wouldn't have broken up with me. I wouldn't have broken up. We wouldn't have initiated that conversation that our relationship wasn't working. He would have felt bad. I would have been sad. I would have clung to him, And I look at what I'm doing now, even with the writing. If I was still him, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself in the same way that I needed to right now. Like this happened because I needed to be on my own. And I mean, quite frankly, the lockdown and being in quarantine is really facing me to face myself and deal with me for once.
So the one thing that I don't think that we really talk about is that this condition, we've been conditioned to do this. And I think that when we stop and we really look at the process, it's not just about this situation. It's
Mm-hmm.
about what is it about us that this situation keeps appearing on some level. And so
Right.
where do we learn that? Where did we learn, again, as women, to compromise ourselves, lose our identity into these things?
Yeah.
And so we got to go kind of back to where we learned that from
Yep.
and really just see how, these things have been told to us and we just keep doing them.
Mhm.
And I think this is a perfect opportunity for a lot of people. A lot of people are having this awakening right now, Sarah,
Sure.
is that everything they've been taught. I mean, some people have been taught some really horrible things,
Yep.
they're about worth and all of those things. But I think that when we stop and we really look at who are we authentically, and I think that's what we're peeling off now is all this conditioned stuff. That was my mother's agreement, or that was something that I learned from dysfunctional culture over and over and over again. And so
Sure.
we're just repeating this stuff. And so we can make this world anything we want it to be. And that's what's really happening now is those old paradigms are falling away.
Oh,
That
thank
whole corporate monster, that whole, working at a job for 30 years and getting a gold watch, okay, that does not exist anymore.
Ooh,
And,
no.
right? I mean, just all of that. I mean, I worked
No.
with a guy who actually died. I mean, this isn't funny, but he died at the breakfast table having a cigarette one morning on his way to work. And the next day, his 25-year gold watch showed up in inner office mail.
Oh my God.
You know? I mean, like,
Yeah.
he didn't get to enjoy his retirement. He did his retirement money or, anyway. But
Yeah.
again, that's when you look at those things. Our world is evolving,
Yeah.
and we are, and those kind of free spirit entrepreneurial thinkers, we're the
Mhm.
people that are able to take that creative process and really be able to say, okay, I got this, and this, and I can make this out of it. And I think that the more creative you are, I think that the more opportunities that are presented to themselves because those old, uh, I don't want to say like, like we're being like cattle, like we're being led. And I
Right.
think that that's really the point is that we've been blindly just following some of these paradigms.
Right.
And now we're waking up going, wait a minute, that's bullshit. It is it's
Yeah.
like when I told the priest that I thought, that was bullshit one day, and I was like 7. He was trying to tell me something like only Catholics go to heaven. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Right.
Like what? I mean, even in my 7-year-old brain, I'm like, that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so again, but again, when you've got these authoritative people telling you over and over and over, this is how we have to do things, this is who we
Mhm.
are. And I think as women, that I think that if we realize that we don't know we're never taught or bred to even think from that authentic place. And
No.
this is why we have to empower younger women to really say, like we were talking one day, remember I said to you, there's like words I hate. I
Yeah.
hate, okay? And I don't use that word lightly. Like the word hustle. When we talk about women in corporate and the hustle, put your
Yep.
hustle on,
Uh-huh.
that ew. That word just and I love words. Okay, I love all kinds of
Yeah.
words, but that word just is all about like compromise yourself, grow a penis, let's, be, deny who you are, work, 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 work. And that's not
Absolutely.
necessarily how you make money or how
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to have enthusiasm, it's great to have
Yeah.
those things, but I think the word that like some of those words that they use, these catchwords that we use for women in business or women in those powerful places,
Right.
deny the best aspects of their creative force and their ability to lead, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
So anyway, so that's my philosophy on it. But yeah, I hate that word hustle. Like
Oh
who
yeah.
hustle?
There's a whole slew of those words that
Well, you're
I
an English teacher,
yeah.
right? I love
Yeah.
etymology. I love the
Yes.
origin of words.
Mhm.
So for me, they're very powerful because the things I get as a medium is I get them in a telepathic way, which is a projected thought. And
Yeah.
that's why it comes in knowing and pictures. And I translate that into human language, which is very limited.
Yeah.
The words make me feel stuff. That's that kind of autistic thing. So certain words make me angry, happy, sad, just by the tone of them.
Absolutely.
And the word hustle just is like putting a burr under my saddle. I feel like it lacks hold on, let me give you a good word what it feels like when I hear that word. It makes me feel like it's fake and that I'm
Yeah.
hurrying up to deceive somebody or it's that whole hurry scurry, do it now, it's going to go away, you're going to miss your opportunity if you don't hustle.
Right. Right.
That's so not true.
No, it's not true at all.
Right.
Not true at all. But I
Right.
mean,
So beware of those who use the word hustle, like it makes you wonder, like, where are we hustling to? Like, Why do we got to do it so fast?
Exactly.
I
Well,
used
and
to
I think
hustle, girl. I was the poster child for hustle. I
I
was
mean,
also drinking a fifth of tequila every day and, to survive. Oh, really? I was so type A. Like I would be like torqued. I would drink an entire pot of coffee by noon. And
oh
and
geez.
then no, right? And then so I was like, and then the work was all deadlines
I
and yeah,
know.
so I started drinking at 5 o'clock, and it was like, you know, that became a very unhealthy cycle very quickly.
Oh yeah.
As you know, I'm sure you
Oh, I
understand.
know it. I know it very well. Very,
Yeah, the
very
day you
well.
need a drink is not the day to have one.
All right. That's it. That's that's
So
exactly
every
it.
day you say I need a drink, that's bad. We got to really reevaluate then what we're doing if we have to
Absolutely.
numb ourselves to do it. Well, let's look at Facebook and see if we get anybody with any questions about leapability,
Yes.
the creative process. And
Hmm.
yeah, there's a big difference between business people and entrepreneurs, you
Huge
know?
difference. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I've
Well,
worked
and
with,
so this time out is really what I've really watched, which is funny, is nobody has craft shit at their house.
oh
Like
yeah,
they're like, I need something to do. I'm gonna sew something. I don't have a sewing machine. I want to put a puzzle. I don't have no puzzles. I mean, they
right.
don't have crayons. They don't have, all those things that,
No.
allow us to be creative. And
Yep.
and
Hmm.
that's what we're turning to now is these creative processes to fill the time and to,
Absolutely.
meditate
Yeah.
and I don't think, I mean, I have a storage unit filled with craft shit. I love crafts. I'm a Pisces. I'll bedazzle anything. So what are you doing to be creative?
I'm writing. So writing, working on a podcast, that's where I put all of my creative energy really into that.
So if you could tell us a little bit about your new blog that you're doing, I would like to hear more about that.
Yeah,
Our
sure.
Facebook friends.
So I started a blog maybe about seven or 8 years ago, I believe. It's called Martinis and Pipe Dreams. Um, I actually, as I was going through, I started writing about my divorce, my job transitions, really everything that I was doing, really telling my story, except it was very, very long. And I was just like cramming all of these thoughts and these huge stories into these long pieces. And after I went through one of my job transitions, I wasn't sure where I was headed. I ended up pulling the blog. Like, I didn't know anymore. I didn't even want to write for a while. So I just recently started writing again. Number one, because I just love it and it's cathartic for me. But also, number two, I always got, there were always a few people who were always like, commenting, or they needed the stories because they went through the same thing. And it's just, when you're going through something, you like to know that somebody else went through it too. And so I just started writing the stories again. I've been doing it differently. They're really short pieces, just the quick experience I had, the lesson, and just putting it out there. Um, so I just started that again. And I'll just explain really quick where the title comes from, because I just wrote about this. I'll post the second half. I'm going to try to get that out tomorrow. Um, what happened was I was in a really bad, it was my worst year teaching. And when I came home from school, I just started making these martinis. I was pureeing fruit. I just like grabbed fruit out of the fridge and I started pureeing it. And I was like, well, let me just add vodka, and I threw it in a martini glass. But it was the process of like making something in the kitchen that grounded me in the present moment and got me out of just the muck of the day. And when I found something that got my mind off of everything, I started to get clarity. And maybe while I had a bit of liquid courage, I applied to NASA. And I like laugh because everyone was laughing at me. They were like, oh my God, you got drunk and you applied to NASA. I was a high school English teacher. What was I doing? Well, my one teacher friend, he laughed, and I told him I drank too many martinis and I applied to NASA. And he said, oh, another one of your pipe dreams. So I told him if I ever wrote anything, if I ever wrote a book, I'd call it Martinis and Pipe Dreams. But the thing about it is that this pipe dream that I had about working at NASA or applying to this job, it was actually to write curriculum for kids for an education program that they had. And that was what my master's degree was in. More importantly, this pipe dream that I have and me applying for this job was me finally admitting that I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. So the martini isn't really about getting drunk, and forgetting about this awful moment that you're in. It's finding something to ground you, to work through a moment and gain clarity to achieve that dream that really isn't a pipe dream, because it's all attainable. It really is.
Well, and I love that transition. So the martini was really the thing that transitioned you from this horrible day into being home.
Yeah.
And you found this thing to create
Mm-hmm.
that grounded you during that time. So this is why when I talk to folks, some of my people have alcohol and drug problems. So we can't really just do that. But the ritual that you created, the ritual,
It
it
was
wasn't about
virtual.
it wasn't about that. It was about decompressing from one thing to the next.
Yes.
And so that's why I always tell people, when you get home, we're covered with energy, we're in that grind. That's another one of my words I'm not a fan of, the
Oh, yeah.
grind. I don't use it in yeah, let's grind. I mean, I use it in we're in the grind. That's like between two things. I mean, that's what it feels like when you're coming out of it. But when you get home, that we have to decompress. We have to kind of almost like wash off the energy of where we've been.
Yes.
And again, that switching gears, creating a ritual of some kind about shutting the door on this and welcoming myself into this new environment and home. I love that you naturally just did that.
Yeah.
But instead of vodka, let's try a salt shower or washing our hands with salt.
Absolutely.
You do that now. I'm sure you do. But
Oh,
but
yeah.
again, yeah. So, but what a wonderful awareness was that if we have to come home and throw fruit in a blender and add vodka to it, what am I doing? What am I
Yeah.
doing? Right?
Mhm.
And
That
those
was,
aren't pipe dreams. Again, I have this book, and I wish I had it like right here to show you guys. But I actually have this binder that it has, I wrote all over it. It's like dreams, and it's the 3-ring note binder.
yeah.
And I have had this for 30 years. Okay. And I write down those pipe dreams in that.
Yes.
So, whatever vision or idea comes to me, that word inspired means in spirit. That's actually given to you. Like that's what your stage crew does. It drops these good ideas in your head. So they're not pipe dreams. They're just uh, visions of what could be.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what's in the way of those things? So they're not really pipe dreams. And in our job is to clear the road to that vision.
Yep.
But those are coming to us, not from us.
Right.
And, again, I just wrote about that the other day, was that if it has to be you, it has to be you, because you're going to be in a situation where I'll never be. You'll meet people I'll never be there. But we're
Mm-hmm.
all awakening and being called to these places. It's more of a
Yeah.
calling than it
It
is
is.
something you're actually creating. It's actually there. You just got to show up, and the magic
That's
just starts to happen.
Yeah.
So I love this hiatus. This is a wonderful time. It's an
Yeah.
awful time as well. And there are a lot of people that are suffering.
Yes.
But again, let's use this time to be creative, to connect with that. Um, and there's ways to be creative outside of your house. You don't have to stay home to do this stuff either.
Right. Right.
I mean, go to a park, connect. You can connect with other people. You just can't go hugging them and stuff. We can have social distancing,
Right.
but
Right.
there are ways. We just got to get more creative. And
Yes.
again, I met people. I used to do art projects with Oriana House, which is a post-prison release program. And it was fascinating to me how to see the girls that were coming out of prison. Like we would take the simplest art project and they had no idea how to start. They didn't know how to
Oh.
start. And I would have an example and I would show them like they could not see the tissue, the glue, and then the finished product and even get from here to there. Like,
Wow.
so until I showed them, until I said, okay, well, this is what we do. We put the glue, a
Right.
little tissue, more glue, we decoupaged it. And then they were like, oh, okay. And then, what I realized is that a lot of people just don't really know how to be creative. They
Right.
were really never given an opportunity to be creative. They came with like one toy that only does one thing.
Right.
Whereas, my son was raised with string and boxes and crayons and all ribbon and all these really, he could make anything he wanted out of that stuff. And he always wanted
Right.
to be an inventor. And I realized that most people really have not been creative. And I wanted to get back to some of that conditioning that you had that we talked about pre video
Oh,
here.
yeah.
But I
Yeah, yeah.
wanted to talk about that creative process and what you noticed about that.
So, what I noticed about, I think the fear behind me being a creative type is that I was, I don't want to say I was taught not to be, but I was really not taught to be that creative or to let the creative, person out of me. Um, I think, my parents definitely wanted to see me on more of like the academic path and then go into a career that everybody understood. But for me now, where I'm at, I realize, everybody focused on in school what I was so bad at. Nobody took the time to tell me what I was good at. So, and I knew I always loved writing. Even when I was little, I would always write these creative writing stories. And, I won awards for a couple of the stories. But the older you get, I'm telling people I'm writing some of these creative stories, and they're just like, wait, what? What are you doing?
Right. You can't make
So
money doing that.
oh, yeah, of course. But, the more that you're unsure of yourself, you open the door to other people and their uncertainty. And then it's like this weight on you. And that's where the fear takes over. And I just kind of had to shut all of that out. And then when I started blogging and writing about everything, there was a little bit of that. I mean, even some family members didn't want me, talking about my experiences but I'm just like, at the end of the day, they're my experiences. You can't change my story or the way that I saw it or experienced it. And what I've gone through is what other people are currently going through or will go through or have gone through.
Mhm.
And it's really everybody just searching. I mean, look at this time of this pandemic right now. We're all searching for and missing, that relationship that we have with that closeness that we have with people. We're searching for that right now. And I feel like that's what I'm doing is I'm just putting that connective piece out there. Like we're still connected, here are the stories. So I had to get back to that, creative little monster that lives inside of me. I love her, but I had to learn to be a lot nicer, that there's a place for this creative person in this world. I don't have to be something that.
Well, and I think I shared this on another video, but I actually channeled Mark Twain at his gravesite.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, I did a ghost tour in Elmira, New York,
Cool.
and it was interesting because there's a young man that was with me, but he wasn't with my group. He was actually just at gravesite. And I had like 30 people there. And Mark Twain said the most profound thing I've ever heard in the 30 years I've been channeling dead people, okay, is he said that the word inspired means in spirit. And that creative people think that comes from them, and it doesn't. It comes through you. And
Mm-hmm.
your talent, whatever that is the catalyst for this divine inspiration to come through and to connect to someone out there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's not yours to judge, it's not yours to withhold.
Right.
And so when creative people get insecure about their talent,
Mm-hmm.
they block that creative flow
Yes.
and they get depressed
Oh, absolutely.
because they're
Absolutely.
blocking something that is so much bigger than them.
Oh, yeah.
And so this young man that was with us just burst into tears. And for
Oh,
me in that moment, it was so clear that, I'm the catalyst for whatever divine thing comes through me. And my talent is speaking, writing.
right.
I got my original communications through automatic writing. You like
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Gibran, he channeled everything through automatic writing. His whole book, The Prophet, was channeled.
Wow.
And so when you look at that, we are just the conduit for
Yeah.
that divine thing to come through, whatever your talent is, whether it's writing, singing, drawing, speaking, whatever, that you're doing God's work. It's not yours to hold on to, it's just yours to express.
I
And
heard
if
the
you
most I
if you
heard the
just
most
allow
amazing
if we just
quote.
allowed that,
I
like I
have
said.
I was going to say I have to tell you this quote that I heard because it reminds me exactly of what you're saying. I heard this quote and I'm obsessed with it. It was by some philosopher. He said that art won't change the world, but it will change the mind of the person who will. And I thought that was,
Wow.
yeah,
How true is that? Well, let's just encourage all our Facebook followers here tonight to just
yeah,
find that creative thing that expresses that divinity through you. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's the illusion when we are creative, that when I'm in that place of creating, the it gives us an opportunity to really vision, to get connected with that divine source. So yeah, pull out your mandala and your crayons, or sing at the top of your lungs,
right.
whatever is your talent, just express that, and it creates that connection and flow with the things that are trying to help us through this process.
Yes.
So yeah, well, thank you, Sarah, for tonight.
Thank you
Again,
so
Sarah's
much.
Sarah's blog is Martinis and Pipe Dreams, right?
Yeah, sure is. That's
So
it.
if you get a chance to watch it, and yeah, you were going to see more of her. I
Oh,
miss
yeah.
her very much. But
Yeah.
yeah, so being a visual learner, as I'm sure you
Yes.
understand
Yeah.
how important, show me, don't tell me, show
Oh,
me. And
yeah.
the
Show
minute you
me.
show me,
Yeah.
and that's why we need more expressives out there. I noticed, did you notice this? When everything hit the shit hit the fan, the first thing people did was get creative.
Oh,
Like they
absolutely.
want they started missing
Right.
music, and I want to have some of my musical friends on here too, but
Yes.
but again, we went back to the core things that are really important next to toilet paper, which is creating something,
Your creative abilities. Yep.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm so glad I got a basement full of craft shit. I mean, it's all in my storage unit now, but no, I've always been that creative person. I can make. I mean, if you give me a can of corn, a tampon, and duct tape, I can make something out of that. I like MacGyver.
Oh my
So,
God, her crafts.
well, I love you very much, Sarah, and
I
Facebook.
love you
Thank you so
too.
much for watching our video. And
Yes.
if you get a chance, go to my website, and you can see the first interview I did with Sarah.
Yeah.
And on that note, yeah, we got to get
Please.
together for you know, a pipe
Please.
dream or a martini or something.
All of the above.
I'm all about all of it. So I
Great.
like fruit in a blender.
Well, I can do. I picked up some skills along the way
I
with
think those
that.
are called daiquiris. Okay, I don't necessarily think.
I didn't know what I was. I was just like, I pureed this. I'll add some vodka. Threw it in a martini glass, and I was like, this works. So
Right. Hey, it's in a martini glass. That's all that matters, right?
that's it.
Your
That's it.
fancy glass. Life is good.
I know, right?
Well, thank you, Facebook,
Okay.
for seeing us tonight. And we're going to
Thank
catch us
you.
again on Friday on Marianne's house. And I think I'm going to have Jared Goldweber. We
Oh.
shall see if the mystery man will join us. We'll see how that goes. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a blessed night. And Sarah, thank you. I'm so proud of
Thank
you.
you so much.
You're amazing. Have a great night.
You too. Thank
Thanks,
you.
honey. All right. Bye bye. Oh, don't hang up.
Okay.
I got to hang up our Facebook family first.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Oh, Heather. My constant judgment on myself stops me from finding my creative side. I can't get around it. Well, the first thing, you got to stop saying can't. She's got to stop saying can't.
What did she say?
She said, my constant judgment on myself stops me from facing or finding my creative side. I can't get around it. Any suggestions? Well, again, I think personally that the word can't means, and I don't think that we've really allowed ourselves to be creative. Creative means just make something. It doesn't have to be perfect or right, so we got
Yeah.
to kind of try on a lot of things, you know.
I just I just went through this where it was the perfection and the judging myself wasn't when I was writing pieces, my friend actually taught me this trick. Um, I had so much trouble writing, I couldn't get a piece out. And she said, "What are you doing when you write?" And I said, "Well, I just keep getting tripped up. I don't want people to think this. I don't want." And she said, "Stop." She said, "Stop writing for people that you don't know, write for whoever needs that message. Pick one person out of like your army of friends who needs to hear that message." So I guess what I will say to you too is whoever you're, if you're creating, maybe just create for yourself. What do you need to tell yourself? Or if there's one person, a friend, whatever you're creating, create with that person in mind. So that's what helped me. It got rid of that block where it kind of created this safe space where I started writing now to a safe person. So
That's awesome advice. Thank you so much, Sarah. So yeah,
sure,
I
sure.
hope that helps you guys out a little bit. But if you have any other questions, you can reach out to Sarah through her blog,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
Martinis and Pipe Dreams. And we'll put the link, I'm going to have Sarah put the link on here when we're finished tonight. And
Yeah,
then we can, if you have any questions for me, you're welcome to do that as well. Send me a message. I also just wanted to give everybody updates. Sorry, so you're going to have to hang out with me for
no,
this.
you're fine. You're fine. Take
But
your time.
oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My sister Susie, God bless
Oh,
her. She brought me
hi.
a beverage. It's not a martini, but it's a Diet Coke,
It's okay. I have water. It's fine.
right? So I just posted a bunch of new classes. Now that I've got this Zoom thing figured out, I posted a dream interpretation, which is going to be coming up next week. And I also have defining our relationships, which is exactly what we're talking
Mm,
about tonight. I think
yes.
that we don't know how to define those things, and then we don't hold them up as a litmus to what we're, as we're interviewing, whatever
Yeah.
it is we're interviewing. And so that's a really great class. If you guys go to my website, it's on there. It's also under Marianne Goldweber Personal and Spiritual Development here on Facebook. All my events are posted there. So you might want to that's my pro page if you guys want to go there and do that. But other than that, if you have any questions for Sarah, who's amazing, or me, give us a call or send us a text.
Yeah.
Dial our digits, whatever works for you. So Sarah, thanks so much
Awesome.
for tonight.
Yeah.
Stay
Thank
with me for
you.
2 seconds while I hang up with our
I
Facebook
will.
fan.
I
Hold on.
will.
All right, I'm not good at this. Bye, kids. Thanks for
Bye,
watching.
everyone. Thank
See you
you.
Friday night. I don't know who the mystery guest is. It might be Jared. We'll see. Everybody keeps asking for Jared. I'm like, well, that would be nice, but he's my
Yeah.
kid. Nobody wants to be on this thing with your mother. This is with your
Jared will.
Oh, I don't know. He's funny. He's the most reluctant, creative performer I've ever met.
Oh,
Like,
no
really.
way.
No, really. If it wasn't for me throwing him out of the car at that art camp, he would not be playing the harmonica. And he comes out and goes, Mom, that was awesome. Thanks for throwing me out of the car. I'm like, okay, well, it was like gnashing of teeth, Sarah. You should have seen it. You thought I was asking him to take off his left arm. I was just telling him to go to an art camp. I mean, it was like, oh my God, dude. All right, kiddo. Well, thank you, kids. I'm really signing off. I just don't know how. End meeting. Okay, I'm gonna hang up on everything. Thanks, Sarah. I love you.
Okay. Thank you. Love you.
Have a good night, everybody. See you
Okay.
Friday, 8 p.m. Be there.
Bye.
Bye.